Hey yo everybody, we're gonna wait a little bit for people to get in, and then we are gonna rock and roll with today's theme. Spank that like button. Ooh. We're almost there, folks. Just waiting a little bit longer for people. Waiting a little bit longer for people to get in. Okay, if you are in chat and you not yet have liked the video, please do so. And again, for those of you who are in the chat room right now and haven't liked the video, go ahead and give that a little taparoo. Little tap tap spankaroo. Since you was in here. I see over 25 people and only 20 likes. Come on. Alright, let's get the show on the road. It's Monday, baby. Monday is our smaller show. Friday is our larger show. And guess what? We're gonna start doing a Wednesday show. So let's go to Big Face. Wait, before Big Face, can we get some... Let's pump the chat up with some purple demon faces for us devilish monads daring to think beyond and above. Demons. right, look at that. Alright, let's do it. Let's go to Big Face. Hey, I'm Jan Erickson, and this is Mindful Monad, a live streaming show that's essentially like what we're turning into. And like I was saying before in the intro, we are going to start doing a Wednesday show. So Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, that's what we're going to do. But for now, we're going to get on with our Monday show, which is the shortest one. But I do love Mondays because we used to be Monday Monad. But before we get into our thing, which is going to be, we're going to be looking at a former Jehovas Witness guy who talks about interacting with his mother who was still in the church. And so it's about a 20-minute video. There are some similarities between Mormons and the Jehovas Witnesses, so I do have like a familiarity, but in many ways they are very different. So I'm just curious to sort of just start swimming around, dipping my toe in that area. So, but before we get into that, I want to say hello to everybody, all you beautiful monads here in this lovely Hyperion space. Let's see, we got Susan Mitchell and we got Philip here as moderators. Thank you so much for coming and moderating. That is fucking fantastic. I really appreciate that. We appreciate your volunteering for that. Mindful Monad. Yes, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays now. So I believe this Wednesday will be our first show. Wednesday show. And I'm going to have to figure out kind of what to call it. I mean, we got Friday Night Chat, and then we got, like, Monday Mindful Monad. Or Mindful Monad Monday or something. But Wednesday, I don't know. We should do, like a vote or something. Or if you guys have suggestions of what to kind of, like... Woke Wednesdays! That would be great. Maybe like Wandering Wednesdays or something. Zing. So yeah, no, Wednesdays we do need more suggestions for Wednesday. So yeah, so yeah, there's lots of really good things coming in the works of Hyperion creators. Like, we got a lot of stuff that we're going to be laying down. So we are doing 3 times a week now for Mindful Monad. Seriously, we are growing. So I am really, really excited for that. And yeah. Oh, let's keep saying hello to people. So hello, Hope. Thank you very much for making me laugh. Anyways, hello, Susan. Hello, Cassidy. Laura LaFleur, hello. Adam. Let's see, let's scroll up and see who I missed. Morg, hello. Yes, I like my jams. I need to, like, I think it's time to switch up our little playlist. I do like the music still, but I just want to, like, freshen it up and just, like, mix it up a bit. It's getting time. It's midsummer. I think it's time we got a little something else to listen to for the load screen and stuff. Let's see, who did I say? Oh, Maria Seedling, hello. Velvet Tears, hello. Michelle, hello. Lisa Grace, good to see you. Wednesday wake-up call, I like that. Claudia, hello. And if you are in the chat room and you have not yet liked this live stream, you should do so right now. Because I see a full, like, 30 people in here. and no one is liking. And I guess there's some weird thing with like YouTube, like sometimes you have to like close it out and like reload the stream, just like refresh or something, I don't know. And then like it. But yeah, I see a lot of people in here. Ari did the thing. Hello, Ari. Good to see you. Katrina Gatsby. Lisa Zawacki. I think that's how you pronounce your last name. I don't know. Tell me if I murdered that. I will correct. So, are we ready to get into the topic? Oh, we got 28 likes. We might hit 30 likes. Can we hit 30 likes? That would be pretty sweet. That's actually very good. Oh, God. Shut up. Yeah, so what the deal is the Hyperion source is going to start live streaming on Saturdays. So I'm actually taking over the Wednesday slot. So join me Wednesdays for our brand new Wednesday show this week. It's going to be really cool. I'm going to let some of you guys help me sort of build it and create it and decide, like, you know, since we're doing 3 days a week now, perhaps there can be certain things we hit each day. Like Friday's just like a medley of things where we can just be super spontaneous and have fun while still talking about some important content. Mondays, I'm thinking of just keeping it specific to like watching, like it's almost like a religious watch. Like, what are the religious people doing? That's what we do like on Mondays. And then Wednesdays, that's up for innovation. So let's explore and see what goes on there. Oh Lord. Shut up, Noark. Already. The fucking anti-Hyperion edgelord troll team. Here to expose the secrets. Like, we don't give a fuck. Moderators, ban them from our house. Ban these silly assholes. We shall have none of this fuckery. This is a Hyperion house. Do not step into our lands. So, okay, this guy we're gonna watch today, I actually haven't seen much of his content. And I learned about this guy through a suggestion through my Discord, where my patrons have access to. So if you become a patron of mine, then you get to have access to my Discord server where you can suggest things that we review and stuff. I don't exactly get to everything, but it really helps me to see what you guys are interested in as well. So, through many suggestions that I've received so far, this one seemed really interesting to me because there is some weird similarities between Mormonism and Jehovas Witnesses, but you know, many differences. So that's where I'm gonna go. Last week, if you want to check out what I streamed about last week, you can check that out. But yeah, let's get into this week. Who's ready to start? Who's ready to get on with the show? Everybody is ready. Lisa's ready. Imaginista, hello. Ready. 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 Zero did the, like, Star Trek sign. That's awesome. Yeah, because we covered Star Trek just last, like, Friday. This Friday, I don't know. We really should do, like a large medley of, like, short things. I kind of want to just, yeah, do multiple things rather than just one big thing. A quickie. Okay, let's do it. Viewing content. So this looks like a butt crack. I did not mean to make it look like a butt crack. That's just where the video starts. And the lines drawn so far resemble butt crack or boobs. You decide which ones. Should probably turn off the... Damn, it is hot in my house. I don't know if any of you are, like, really hot, but I am hot today. But I am so excited. After this live stream, I'm gonna go outside, sweep my porch, maybe sit outside and weed my garden or something. Something human. So let us start this guy's content. So this YouTube user is called Telltale. I haven't seen any content from them before, so this will be new. Oh, another edgelord. Moderators! Remove them from my house. Motherfuckers need to unironically, like, put down the electronics and go outside right now, seriously. Y'all, if I was your dad, I'd ground you. Moving on! This is a house. A Hyperian house. You have no honor. You have no glory. No honor to your house.
No, I don't talk about...
Oh, let me get the volume up.
my mom very often. In fact, almost never. For those who might be new to... As I'm sure most of you know, I don't talk about my mom very often. In fact, almost never. For those who might be new to my channel, I grew up as a Jehovas Witness, and only a few years ago started to realize that the group is a damaging, destructive cult. I got disfellowship from the group when I was 18. I've been shunned by my friends and family ever since. But gradually over the years, most of my family has left the religion, except my mom. She's the last one. She hasn't really talked to me in 12 years because she thinks I'm possessed by Satan. But she texted me the other day, for the first time in a long time.
So she texted him because she thought he was, like, possessed by Satan? That's really serious. I don't know. I mean, I'm possessed by Satan all the time, I guess. Sounds kind of sexy, doesn't it?
And had some interesting things to say. Let's get into it. If you're interested in hearing the whole backstory, you can take a look at my older videos. I've talked about it just about every time I talk to my mom because it's such a rare occurrence. But I'll give you guys the abridged version for now. I got baptized in the religion when I was around 15. That's a binding contract as far as they're concerned. If you realize it's complete bullshit when you reach an age where you're legally allowed to sign contracts, it doesn't matter. They shun you anyways. My dad was pretty physical.
That's so interesting because in Mormonism, when you are baptized in the church and you are officially a church member, it's 8 years old. How can you even, like, agree to something when you're only, like, 8 years old? Like, you only know the world that's been given to you. So getting baptized into something when you're 15, I mean, that's still pretty young. And Mormons also send their kids, like 19-year-old kids, off to missions for like 2 years. We actually talked about this in the last live stream with the Hyperion Source. Me and Susan talked about that. And yeah. Okay, let's continue.
To us when I was a kid, but the Jehovah's Witness elders kept telling my mom to go back to him anyways. Said it was her duty as a spouse. She made a promise, for better or worse, until death do you part. So she did. She kept going back to him, despite the fact that he was a straight-up monster, because the religious leaders want you to view them as a government. When Armageddon starts, they believe world governments will crumble, and Jehovah's Witnesses will specifically be targeted by what authorities there are, so they intend to have the infrastructure in place to take control of a population just like a government would. So what did I do to get disfellowshipped? Must have been...
Wow, that's pretty intense. There's a real big intensity with community pressure in Mormonism, to the point where it's like, if you're not down with going along with what the church expects of you, you do get shunned from families and friends, and you, in some cases, you get excommunicated, and it's a very big deal. My birth mother was excommunicated, actually, for having me out of wedlock when she was a teenager. But yeah, it's really serious when there's that kind of a community, and then they just like reject you and kick you out. Does this motherfucker look like Leibniz right now? Interesting. Kind of like the hair.
Pretty heinous, right? I smoked a cigarette. I wasn't allowed to have friends who weren't part of the religion, so...
Oh my god, I smoked a cigarette and that was really bad. You know what was worse? Like, before the cigarette is when I tried coffee. Coffee is really bad in Mormonism. Having a cup of coffee was, like, such a big deal. It was also, like, very underwhelming because when you're a child, you don't know what to expect when you drink coffee. So, like, when I tried it, it was like, ew. So it's just like, people drink this. And now I drink it, like, all the time. Before, like, 2 p.m. Because if I drink it afterwards, then I stay up all night.
When I got to high school, all that repression started coming out. I went to some high school parties and started hanging out with worldly people. I smoked a cigarette and drank some beer, and they disfellowshipped me. Of course, the story is a lot more in-depth than that, but as I said, I'm giving you the abridged version here. So I turn 18 and I get disfellowshipped, even though I begged them not to disfellowship me, and my mom hasn't really talked to me ever since. But I got a message from her the other day. Every year or two, she messages me to see if I'll let her see my daughter. Usually I say yes, as long as the contact is strictly controlled and she isn't trying to cram cult propaganda down her throat. So my mom messages me the other day to ask about that. In the middle of the conversation about the next time she's going to see her, she says this: I just remembered that I'm getting into a program for PTSD with the VA again. She has PTSD from my dad. We all do. Me, my brothers, my sister, and my mom. She goes,
yeah, I grew up with a pretty abusive father. That shit sucks. And religion definitely pressures you to stay in situations that are just flat dangerous. Absolutely. They pressure wives to stay in marriages with husbands all the time because when you get married within the Mormon religion, it's for eternity. It's like you're eternally sealed to be some spirit baby maker if you're a woman.
To psychotherapy for it. Then she says, Owen, I realized recently that early in my first marriage, which was still with my dad, they got married, divorced, and then remarried. I realized recently that early in my first marriage, the so horrific that it really screwed up my head. I feel like it screwed up my core being. I know what it is to be a victim of a cult-like situation. The person kind of gets in your head and reprograms what you've always known to be true.
Yeah, that Mormonism was so like that. It really does, like, sink down into your head, especially when you're a child and you don't have any, like, autonomy over yourself. You're really at the whim of what your parents tell you. It's so hard to break out of that, and I've been through the part where I challenge a big system that's trying to tell me what's best for me. I've already been through that, even though I've believed in it, and it's very hard to do. Ugh. Ugh. Thank you, Susan. Since you all are in here, you could like the video or live stream. Thank you. So let's get back to this guy. Wait, anybody, what are some thoughts on this, though? Let me know. Does anybody have any experience with, like, W's, Jehovah's Witnesses? Eva Blue Rose. Oh, Paul Cherry says that is a very damaging and evil type of programming. They also don't allow blood transfusions, so they would rather let a child die. Is that true? That's horrible. Ari's like, my only experience was watching someone in my apartment complex chase them away with a broom. Get. Yeah, Susan says, I do. You know, my husband was raised Jehovah's Witnesses. Oh my god. Eva Blue Rose says, my mother thought she was possessed for months and almost killed us. Yeah, there were some weird stories of possession in my family as well. Like, people will believe, like, the most ridiculous shit. Oh yeah, Lisa Gray says, not JW, but the Mormon Church. Ugh. Chase him out with a broom. Alright, I'm really curious about what's going on.
Got out of that when I came in the truth. That's what Jehovah's Witnesses call the religion, the truth. But all this was kind of coming out of nowhere. Like, why is she even talking about cults? I told her I would never bring this subject up with her. She's opening the door. Why? She goes on to say, I got out of it when I came in the truth. I needed the Bible to teach my mind what was good and clean and right. But recently I realized that I'm still having panic attacks and freaking out in my head because the programming that got done early in the marriage is still in my head. I know what it is to be in a cult. It takes away your free will. Now that is fascinating. She seems to know a lot more about being a cult than I gave her credit for. I mean, it's one thing to have the experience of being a cult member and an entirely different situation to understand exactly what's happened to you and how they operate.
Did you hear that? It's one thing to be in the experience of the cult, and then it's another to have more awareness of what happened to you when you look at it from the other side. You see what I'm saying? Some people, they fall into cults because they haven't experienced it before. Some people fall into several cults. Some people are born in a cult and fall into other cults. But if you start developing that awareness of how that process actually happens, then you know how to avoid dangerous ideologies.
I'm guessing her therapist is working with her or something. I don't know. Anyways, I responded, that's right, but you weren't aware of it when it was happening, right? You didn't realize you were being programmed. She says, no, I didn't. I thought I was being a good wife, a best friend, the one he could always count on to be his number one. I said, that's how it works. Either people are unaware of the fact that they're being programmed, or they embrace the programming because they believe it to be for their own benefit, i.e.,
but that's still a belief. That's still a belief system. Even if they understand they're being programmed and they're like, I'm going to go along with it because I think that's best for me, you're still in a belief system.
The new personality. I chose that phrase specifically because, for one thing, that's a hallmark of a cult. That's what's actually happening. That's what makes a cult different from any other normal religious group. They're programming a new personality into you, the cult personality. I'll get into it more in a minute, but this is way beyond layman knowledge at this point. She wouldn't know this unless somebody was specifically talking to her about it, like, say, her therapist. I couldn't even believe I was reading the words I was reading. Now for the really relevant part. Jehovah's Witnesses specifically say that they're trying to program a new personality into every member of the religion. They call it the new personality. I was honestly surprised they were so on the nose with it. It's straight out of the cult handbook, if such a thing existed. So she says, that's kind of the thinking I had when he was doing that, but it was evil thinking, and if I didn't obey, I got punished and rejected.
Yeah, punishment and, yeah.
It was a horrific situation. I was led to believe that my family didn't want me and he was all I had. Obviously, she's describing a cult in eerie detail. That's exactly how cults operate. But she's just talking about her relationship with my dad right now. I responded, cults at their most basic are a relationship between the members.
Oh, Cassie. Hi, Cassie. So good to see you. And I see 42 people in the room and only 30 likes. So please smash the like button. And actually, Cassie, I'm going to give you the wrench. I will show you later what to do, but for now, just sit tight and just enjoy your wrench. So, congratulations, Cassie. You are now a moderator for Mindful Monad. But you could just like sit back and relax for today. I hope you don't mind. Cassie, behold your wrench. Put the spotlight on Cassie. Boom! The whole stage bright spotlight right on Cassie right now. Psh, Cassie! Everybody look at Cassie right now. The whole room. Anyways. Yes, Cassie is just going to lend a presence. I'm going to show her what to do later on, but Cassie's a very good friend of mine. Stop, Cassie, stop looking at me. Okay, everybody stop looking at Cassie. Back to the show. And there are 44 people in you and only 33 likes. The rest of you, please smash the like button. I can see who's all in here. Thank you.
And the leadership. That's why a lot of psychology is the same. It transfers over. The goal is to form the personality into a clone. Base your moral compass on the abuser's morality rather than your own conscience. That's why it hurts to follow the rules sometimes. With one abuser and one survivor, there can be without legal action. In big groups, it's harder to hide. So big groups like cults typically use other control mechanisms like shunning critics or ex-members. They also control information. They don't want you to hear opposing opinions because that could challenge your faith in the leadership. The goal is to control behavior, thoughts, emotions, and information.
Yeah, especially when your leaders declare they're the smartest ever.
If you don't tamp down on all four, then the survivor will reach out in one of those four directions to understand what's happening to them. As a side note, I want to point out my use of the word survivor instead of victim. My mom keeps using the word victim. We aren't victims. None of us are. We're survivors. We came out the other side. Some of us looked like a fucking train wreck when we came out the other side, like me, but we're here.
Yeah. You know, when I finally got out of Mormonism and finally, like, abandoned any sort of acceptance of a creator God, it felt so disorienting at the time. That's the only way I could describe it. But I just felt like I was, like, floating around. It was a big existential crisis, but it was such an important step. And that's when I started to learn. I'm like, my brain is sushi. Jesus Christ. Literally, Jesus Christ turned my brain into sushi. Chop suey.
Didn't make it through because we were strong. We're strong because we made it through. We survived. Right. Anyways, my mom responds, my new personality today is based on Bible truth, and if it's a cult, it isn't. I'm being reprogrammed by the sovereign of the universe, the great creator, for the goodness and benefit of myself. It's just an education on how to live a good, clean life.
That's not.
Understand what you're saying. It's easy to see why a person could see Jehovah's organization as a cult. It's not a cult, but even if it were, I'm okay with it. I'm not going blind. I see the issue. A common response to the accusation that the group you're a part of is a cult. I'll respond to her in a minute on that point, but generally speaking, cults tend to have an ends justify the means mentality, i.e., they believe they're justified in doing anything.
Yeah. Ends means justify the ends, whatever. Ends just like the end justifies the means. As a Hyperian, I think that's something that can reach a result, but I don't think that's necessarily the most reasonable route. In some instances, it can, but for humanity overall, no. No, you're gonna end up wasting a lot of yourself.
Literally anything if it furthers the goals of the group. Jehovah's Witnesses call the concept theocratic warfare. Scientology calls it fair gaming. Most cults have a name for the doctrine, but the bottom line is this. She seems to recognize that changing your...
Okay, I'm really happy about the dinosaur, like, skeleton going on here. That, like, makes me super, super duper happy right now. Oh yeah, Philip says there's another red flag if they call their mission the most important thing in the world or portray an end of the world type scenario. Lots of religions do that. Yeah, they do. I mean, there's a teleological end, but I don't foresee it being the kind of hellish destruction like a lot of people focus on. I know Robo is like the dinoskeleton.
Personality is not good. She talked about how my dad did it to her when they were still married, but she's excusing it away for Jehovah's Witnesses because it's for the greater good. I responded to her, it is a cult. They control people. Now, you can say they're correct in doing it for the greater good if you want, but definitionally, that's what it is and how it operates. Then again, literally every cult in existence believes they were correct in doing it for the greater good.
Yeah.
So, then I posted a link to an article on the Jehovah's Witness website about the new personality, what it
Oh, interesting.
is and why they feel justified in manipulating people by programming it into them. She said, I'm good. I'm happy. I hear what you're saying and I understand where you're coming from. It's okay with me if that's how you think. I have no issue with it. I just know that I'm where I want to be and I see clearly. I responded, in my opinion, the correctness of something is irrelevant. What matters is how they go about accomplishing their goals. I don't like it when people fly planes into buildings. Even if they were correct, what they're doing is evil. She says, lol, yes, I agree.
That's
where
a
I
waste.
am is a complete 180
That's
from
what
where
I'm
I...
talking about, a waste. If you start going that route, that's like integrating your power self without doing your shadow work and just turning into a fucking asshole. That's it. You're just gonna drag people down and force them along with you and be like, you will benefit when I'm done. Yeah.
was early in the
Waste.
first marriage.
What a waste.
I'm happy where
And
I am.
also, what a waste of innovation, too. It's not very creative.
And I'm happy that you're happy where you are. It's okay. You're okay. You're just on a different path, one of your own choosing, and it's okay. I'm good. At this point, I wanted to ask, who are you trying to convince, me or you? Because first of all, even through text, I could tell she's barely holding herself together. And second, that's directly against Jehovah's Witness doctrine. Holding the position is wrong, according to the religion. And she would absolutely, without a doubt, be pulled into a back room and given a stern talking to if the elders from her congregation knew she was talking to an apostate and saying that I'm just on a different path in life and that's okay. At this point, the conversation's completely mind-blowing, and I decided I'm going to try to lightly push back. Try a little deprogramming. I said, I won't try to convince you otherwise. The goal here was to gain her trust, to make her understand that I'm okay with where she is, and I'm not going to come at her like a rabid dog, trying desperately to deconvert her. If I did try that, it would fail. That approach isn't going to work. So the next best option is to gain her trust so she'll be more willing to hear me out when I really...
Yeah, I don't care about gaining... I mean, like, I guess if some people really, like, don't want to lose a family member or something like that, then do that. But if, like, you want to cut somebody off, cut them off. You don't... If somebody, like, lives a life that you just can't, like, deal with, like, cut them off.
Really need her to. She says, I want the new personality. I'm happy to be reprogrammed by Bible standards. It's not a bad thing for me, and I understand that it's not for everyone. This is bordering on heresy in the Jehovah's Witness religion. In her belief system, they think Armageddon will start after everybody's had a chance to hear the good news, and they've rejected it. Then those people will be taken out by angels coming down from heaven. They're supposed to be pitied for being evil.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, if it's a family member and you really, like, want to make it work, like, you should definitely do that. But, like, you also can have personal boundaries. You can, like, establish something and not tolerate something and not be around something and not expose yourself to something if you don't want to.
people. They didn't want to live up to God's standards, so God doesn't want them to be alive anymore. So I responded, I'm not saying this is the case, but hypothetically, if you found that they were incorrect about some of the Bible principles they espouse, would you change your mind about it? Honestly, it was probably poorly worded. She showed a crack in the wall by saying she recognized they were programming her, but she was okay with it because it was a reprogramming by Bible standards. My ultimate goal was to try to get her to consider the fact that she wasn't being programmed by God himself. She was being programmed by people who claim to be God's representatives. If I could
Yeah, see, she wasn't claimed by the actual information, like, not being brainwashed from the information, but the person who's representing it. Does that make sense? Anybody can take a fact, like anybody, and just pile on their own subjective nonsense and feelings and emotions and tone and personality and make it seem like way different.
could get her to see that, I thought maybe I could point out the fact that maybe they get a couple things wrong. If they get a couple things wrong, that means she isn't being programmed with Bible principles. She's being programmed by a group of dudes who believe they got it right, and they clearly did not in at least a couple of instances. She says, no, because I'm not going by what they say. I'm going by what the Bible says. I appreciate their direction and counsel, but I prove to myself by my own study and research that Jehovah wants me. This answer might be a little unorthodox from a Jehovah's Witness. They typically stand behind the governing body at all costs, but not always. It could be considered a reasonable response from a good Jehovah's Witness, but by giving that response, she's making it clear that she wants.
That's so weird, though. But if you're like, I really, it's like from the Jehovah's Witnesses is from the Bible, so that's why I'm going to stick with it, even though I know it's a cult. That's weird. It's like you're literally choosing enslavement when you can enjoy the original, like the Bible material or whatever it is that she's after, like in her own way. That's so
wants
weird.
to stick primarily to the Bible rather than the 8 dudes in New York who read it for you and tell you what to believe about it. Then she says, I'm not following them. I'm hearing what they say and proving it to myself. I do have questions and I research it. I'm doing what's right for myself before Jehovah. Having this conversation, for example. Now that is a pretty big deal in my opinion. She's breaking from the governing body, even if it's for a second, even if it's barely breaking from them. She let the mask slip for a second and made it clear that she doesn't necessarily back every decision they make. Like, for example, having a conversation with an apostate. Is she saying she doesn't think there's anything wrong with talking to a disfellowship person? I said, recognizing the fact that they program in new personalities and accepting the fact that in any other situation that's a bad thing, what evidence would you need to see to convince you to leave? I.e. that they've lost Jehovah's mandate or something, that they don't have Jehovah's blessing anymore as an organization and you should go solo. She responded, lol, no, I'm not an idiot. I told you, I see clearly. If that did happen, I would go solo. But it ain't gonna happen. There's no evidence. It ain't gonna happen. I know that Jehovah knows me and works with me. I'm not worried. I'm good. Again, she sounds like she's trying to convince herself. I felt like I wasn't communicating myself clearly enough. I feel like I overplayed my hand, so I tried to
It's almost like the convincing of the self and the projection.
Clarify and make it less confrontational and more hypothetical. I said, not saying there is evidence. I was just wondering what evidence would convince you. She said, there is none. No bar. When parents raise their children, they're supposed to be programming them. When the kids grow up, they reprogram themselves.
No, the person that we're listening to is drawing these things. So, like I said, I've never seen this guy's content before, but what I'm gathering is that while he talks, he just occasionally shows like things he's just doodling, which is kind of cool.
To fit their own soul. This is how I've reprogrammed myself. It's not a bad thing, it's good. So just 10 minutes ago, she was telling me that she realized that programming personalities into people is the definition of a cult, and now she's justifying it to me. She can't not know what's going on here. She knows way more about cults than a layman would right off the street. She's explained the key to why all of religion isn't a cult. Behavior modification, personality replacement, clone production. I said that's an interesting point, but there's a difference between constructive influence and destructive influence. Take a look at the influence continuum. This is standard psychology. When you raise a kid, the goal is to encourage them to explore who they are, their authentic self. They want to encourage.
Hold on.
production. I said that's an interesting point, but there's a difference between constructive influence and destructive influence.
Constructive influence and destructive influence.
Take a look at the influence continuum. This is
the influence continuum, girls. Strap yourselves in.
Standard psychology. When you raise a kid, the goal is...
So on the constructive side, we have healthy, and on the destructive side, we have unhealthy. For individuals, if you are influenced to be, have this false cult identity as in you take on the persona and the personality of the other cult people. Continuum? Yeah, there's always a continuum, right? Conditional love. If your leaders tell you that you shouldn't talk to somebody anymore, and that's very different from individually choosing not to have anything to do with somebody. And doctrine is definitely unhealthy if your personality becomes the whole doctrine. Solemnity, fear and guilt, dependency and obedience. So on the healthy side is something that encourages you to be your authentic self, an individual. Something that's healthy is to be like unconditional love. Now that I have questions about, but what I would say about that is in this instance, you are free to converse with anybody or not with that person at all. Creativity and humor, you're being encouraged to be creative and stuff like that, and then free will and critical thinking. So, interesting. We should look into this at some point further.
To encourage them to explore who they are, their authentic self. They want to encourage free...
For individuals, for leaders. On the unhealthy side, narcissistic psychopath right there. Elitist, grandiose, power-hungry, secretive, deceptive, claims absolute authority. And the good leader is psychologically healthy. Knows own limits. Empowers individuals. Is trustworthy and accountable.
Free will and critical thinking rather than dependency and obedience.
And then for the organizations as a whole, so it's like a group, if the whole group structure is an authoritarian structure, it's deceptive, it's manipulative, everything's a secret, you have to figure it out, clones people, ends justify the means, it's like, we'll do whatever it takes to get what we want. That's not good. Preserves own power. No legitimate reasons to live. Yeah, or leave. There's no legitimate reason to leave. Like it's like you stay with that or you die. You stay with that group or you die. And a healthy one is like checks and balances, as in yes, it's like be a part of the group, but be your own person. Informed consent, yes, always making it clear that you're not forced to do anything. Individuality, diversity, yes, is very good. Individuality and diversity is very, very, very good. And the means create the end. And you're free to leave. 100%. Oh. Anyways, let's continue with our thing.
He says, I appreciate that. My way of life is all on the constructive side. I agree with your statement, Owen. When you were growing up, I was still sick. I thought the way to Jehovah was forceful and by threat. It wasn't true. I did not handle any of it well because I didn't understand it. I was sick. You weren't taught well. We're all about being different or our own true selves while living a morally clean and healthy lifestyle. I responded, I got baptized. According to Jehovah's Witnesses, I was responsible for my own spiritual future. That's why they justify shunning me. Because even though I was 14, the contract I signed with the organization is binding for the rest of my life.
That's weird. We don't... It's so weird when organizations have, like, paperwork involved.
According to...
When I had to quit Mormonism, I actually had to, like, put in a request to have my names removed from the records. So it's like I actually had to like file papers and everything, and I even had to like have like a specially worded letter of just like, you know, you can't use like I renounce my Mormonship and everything.
The religion, it doesn't matter if I was taught well or not. I accepted the truth as my own when I was 14. Everything before that is irrelevant. I'm giving her the standard Jehovah's Witness talking points now. Any deviation from what I said is deviation from the governing body, and deeply surprising to me. Breaking from the governing body is something you just...
People are saying it's hard to hear me. Hold on. Hold on. How about now? Is this better? Is that better? Yes. Alright, let me check in. Let's see what's going on here. Renaissance Fairy. Yeah, the mic volume. Okay, so people have been telling me for a minute. Sorry. Much better, much better. Okay, good. Y'all keep me on my toes. And we're still getting fuck boys. Y'all, put your shit down. Go outside. Seriously, go to bed. We're continuing on. Anyways.
Don't do. If she was a good Jehovah's Witness, she wouldn't question their judgment. She'd go along with it. She responded, "You were supposed to have the right to say no to baptism, but you were being pushed in that direction, and that was wrong. You didn't know that you really had a choice, and the other choice would not have shunned you. You didn't know that. I didn't realize the situation. I believe you were 16, by the way." First of all, the other choice, not getting baptized at all, probably still would have led to shunning. It doesn't always, but most of the time. If a family is deep in it...
especially like when I grew up in Mormonism, and it's like your whole thing is to get baptized at 8, and you're like, your whole family's involved. All your brothers and sisters got baptized. Your parents got baptized. All your friends within the church that are your age, that you grew up with, are also getting baptized at 8. So why at 8 years old would you ever be like, oh, wait, no, I'm not going to do that. I need to think about this. You're not. You're not, because that's your whole world. You're not going to turn away from that. It's just going to be part of the process for you. So that's why I think it's really crazy that they're indoctrinating children at such a young age and being like, oh yes, you can become a full-fledged member and make a full-fledged adult decision at 8 years old.
Shun you, even though there isn't an official shunning policy unless the person was baptized at some point in their lives. It's a cultural thing. Somebody leaves the truth, you shun them. Simple as that. Second, I know the religion has changed a little bit since I left in 2009, but it hasn't changed much in that way. If anything, their shunning policy has gotten worse. They're more strict about isolating their members, if you can imagine that. Maybe that strictness is getting to her. Maybe her old age is. I don't know, but the fact that she seems to be outright denying what the governing body is saying here.
Oh, hey, we just had 35 likes. Yeah. Thanks, everybody. The rest of you who are in here, you can like the video, the live stream.
I never thought I'd see the day. She's obviously still a cult member, but it still feels like a pretty big step. I responded, any destructive influence is a bad thing. I know Jehovah's Witnesses program indifferent morality. The reason I know that is because you battle
Hyperian
with your own
frequency,
morality all the time. For example, is it wrong to talk to your kids? That's destructive influence. You can say they're justified in using destructive influence if you want, but it's definitely there one way or another. She says, I don't think they're justified in destructive influence. I know it's not their intention. We were living in a sick world where every good thing got twisted. Jehovah knows that. It wasn't the brothers who skewed everything.
I remember like a few years ago, and I'm still Hyperian at this point, but like some people came to my door, but I didn't catch on that they were Jehovah's Witnesses, but they were just like, I open it and they're like, hi, can we ask you a question? And it's like, okay. And they asked me something along the lines of like, do you think the world is sick? Or do you think there's suffering in the world? And as a Hyperian, I'm like, this is such a loaded question. Like, I kind of want to have this conversation, but I can tell I'm like, this is going to lead somewhere like religious. And I'm like, this is going to be a waste of time for all of us. So I'm just like, no, thank you. no, thank you, I'm not going to answer. And then I just close the door very gently. Anyways.
Said, I don't think they have bad intentions either, but here we are, one way or another. I don't believe Jehovah would approve of suffering no matter what the intentions are. For the record, I'm not actually sure if their intentions are bad or not. That's a subject for debate. But for the sake of argument, I agreed with her.
Welcome back, Ari.
She said, I agree. That's why I need to, at the least, have peace with my children. Jehovah wants me to
Joanna,
not
I don't know if I said
grieve.
hello to
Again, I'm calling back to earlier in the conversation where I pointed out that every cult in existence thinks they're right and justified in using destructive influence. We can't call it out.
The whole point of cults is they think they're right about their destructive means to an end.
Selectively. Either that kind of thing is wrong or it's not. That's the point I was trying to get across. But
yeah,
at this
it's
point,
wrong
she
or
seems
it's
to
not.
completely
It's like,
broken from the governing body. She's even admitted
Thanks.
that they aren't representing Jehovah correctly on some issues, and they're using destructive influence on people. Time to go in for the kill shot. This is actually a risky move, but I felt comfortable making it at this point, since she'd already opened up previously in the conversation. I said, you don't think that alone would be enough for them to lose Jehovah's blessing as an organization? In 1947, they released an awake calling shunning a pagan practice. Within a decade or two of that, they made it official policy. And by the late 80s, it was official policy to shun not just disfellowship people, but disassociated people as well. Seems like they're trying to...
Susan says, I'm back. Did I miss anything? Anyone new come in? No. Well, yeah, no, we had a couple people who come in. Who just came in here? Hyperion Frequency, and then, of course, just the usual round of fuckboys that we have all the time.
Isolate people more as time goes on, just like Dad did. Remember? I wanted to tie it back to the previous experience she had with a cult-like mindset. This was a big risk. She went silent for a while, and then she said, I can't get into that area of discussion because I have not researched that aspect of the subject. All I know is that I'm here right now, and I have to focus and live on this day with what I know to be true between me and Jehovah. He communicates with me through his word, and his organization does their best to help me stay focused on what's going on in this stream of time. The earth will not end. Some of us will live through the tribulation, and we don't have to worry about God's war of Armageddon. All we have to...
This is so weird. Like, the way they're talking about the beliefs of, like, Jehovah's Witnesses, it just seems like there's such, like, a destructiveness to it. I don't know what it is about it. And I don't mean particularly what they're talking about, the system being destructive. I mean just, like, aesthetically. I'm like, I don't know. I don't think Mormons are quite that doom and gloomy. It's like very apocalyptic.
Do for that is
Mormons are really focused on money. That's it. Money and collecting women as slaves.
stay out of the way. I can't be worried about what happened as Jehovah's organization was growing. They've gone through a great many organizational changes and will continue to do so as we move along in this stream of time. That's when I knew I fucked up. Her barriers went up. Cults program in personalities, and they program in predefined answers to challenging questions.
Dang.
When you're deprogramming, the goal is to never get a pre-programmed answer, or to break them out of it if they do. If they spout off a pre-programmed answer like my mom just did, it tells me her defenses are up. She's wary, suspicious. The trust relationship in the conversation was broken, and the conversation is over. There's no hope of accomplishing anything else past this point. So I responded, okay.
Yeah, Lisa's right. Money, sex, and secrets is what Mormonism is all about.
Well, as long as you're happy where you are. Then I said something completely unrelated to establish a conversation outside of the religious topics, so she felt like she'd be able to talk to me.
Oh, we are at 38 likes. Can we get to 40? If you guys are in here and like you haven't like hit the like yet, like please do so. I would really appreciate that. That's actually pretty dang good. We got a good live stream. It's like there's a lot of people here, a lot of busyness going on. It's fabulous. It's a good Monday.
Me, even if it wasn't about religion. Doing this in person is way more challenging. I had the benefit of being behind a text wall. I could take my time to respond if I wanted. But if I'd been in person, there are actual physical signs that you can watch for to see if their guard goes up. You can see physical changes in their facial expressions and body language when they enter cult mode. The perma-smile, the glassy eyes, the crossed arms, that kind of thing. My mom is the
glassy eyes.
toughest nut to crack. I don't have any hopes or expectations that she'll ever find her way out. She's been in it for like 40 years by now, but she tentatively seemed to be willing to talk to me about mundane things. She seemed to break from the Watchtower Society on whether or not you should talk to disfellowshipped people. I don't know if I reversed all that progress with my last question or not. Probably didn't reverse all of it, but I guess time will tell whether or not she wants to have a relationship with not just me, but all of her kids. We've all left the religion by now. The sad part is, at this point, I basically have no feelings about it. I haven't had a relationship with her in like 12 years. I've moved on with my life. I don't even know who she is anymore, and she's getting up there in age. So much time lost, thanks to a cult. This shit destroys lives.
Yep.
This doesn't convince you, I don't know what will.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's all I've got for you. If you like what I do and you want to see me continue to do it, you can support me in a few ways. First, there's Patreon. That's probably the...
Okay, you can go and check out his Patreon and stuff. But so far, I'm pretty impressed. I like the little drawings. I like the way he explained the conversation, and I like the way he broke down the conversation to show what precisely makes, like, a cult. Like, what is it about it? And it's, like... destructive, like, means to an end. That's something that really, like, hits hard. So yeah, all right, well, let's get our music back on. I would love to view something else, but we are running out of time, and I do believe we have our live stream with Morg later, starting, I believe, at 6:30. So if you're down for joining that, I will be also joining that. And we got 40 likes, baby! Woo! We got 40 likes. Let's get our music back. Let's see. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming and hanging out with me this Monday. I love this community so much. We have got just a rich, powerful community of such beautiful monads, and I just really have to appreciate it, y'all. Just express appreciation, like everybody who's been a part of my Patreon, been a patron, been a supporter. It really means a lot, and Mindful Monad is here. It's not going anywhere, and we're just gonna go up and up, baby. So, yeah. Hell yeah. We are mindful monads. You and me and you. We're mindful monads. And thank you, Cassie. Thank you to our moderators. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Philip, for keeping our chat room safe and healthy and progressive. And everybody that came, goodbye, Ari. Goodbye, Renaissance Fairy. Goodbye. I'll be saying hello to a lot of you in the next stream. So it's like goodbye, aloha. See you, and we'll see you again shortly. Good to see you all. Drink a glass of water. Have a couple of deep belly breaths, you know, where you stick out the bottom of your belly really far. Eat a meal. Eat a nice meal. Drink a glass of water. Get some good sleep. Take care of yourselves. We are individuals. Schmonads. Anyways. Good night, everybody. And we will see you Wednesday. Stay tuned for our first Wednesday show. It's going to be so exciting. Holy crap, we got a whole new show we're going to be doing 3 times a week. Woo! All right. Goodbye, everyone.